It's time to get all your Star Wars news in a single file. From Fantha Tracks TV, this is Good Morning Tatooine!
Good morning, Tatooine. Welcome to the live stream. We're back with your weekly recap of everything Star Wars. And we've got a whole load of news to get through tonight, so let's see what we've got coming up on the show. First up, we're going to be talking Star Wars Celebration Europe. Fan applications are now open for the 2023 show. Star Wars Andor continues to air on Disney+. Kyle Soller and Denise Goff have been talking the love-hate relationship between Cyril and Dedra. There's been an official cast announcement from Lucasfilm for the Acolyte, and we'll be checking that out. It says there we're going to be covering Andy Serkis talking Kino Loud, but we're not, because I've taken that out of the show, so we'll skip that one. Bring home the Galaxy Week 4, figures, glasses, fashion, and more stuff to get in the lead up to Christmas. Could Indiana Jones be whip-cracking his way back to the small screen? There's rumours abound. Talking of rumours, Sean Levy's possibly eyeing up a Star Wars film. We'll be discussing that. Dark Horse Comics have announced their return to the High Republic with a 3 High Republic adventure series coming in 2023. Star Wars Fun Day has revealed its 2023 date. We'll be talking all about that show. Lucasfilm's been working with Studio Ghibli. I think I've said that wrong. I say it wrong all the time, but my guest will correct me later. And J.D. Dillard's Star Wars project is unfortunately no longer a thing. So we'll be discussing the impact of that and more. Morning to Mr. Matt Bookert's in the comments. If you've got thoughts and comments on the show news, let us know. We'll share them and we'll discuss your thoughts and opinions too. And to discuss everything, from FanthaTracks.com, Mr. Paul Naylor.
Hello, Bri. You alright, mate?
Yeah, not too bad. Not too bad. How are you?
I'm good. Had a bit of a mad rush today. I've just been over to Minehead, which is in Somerset, and got stuck in traffic on the way back. So I knew I was on tonight, and then when I got back and I saw, are you still on? Yes, I'm here. Here I am.
Excellent. Couldn't do the show without you.
Oh,
Lots of news to cover this week. So I reckon we should get stuck straight into it. And
let's go for it.
First thing to discuss, applications are now open for Celebration Europe 2023. If you want a fan-led panel, you can apply for the podcast area of the HoloNet stage, and there's also going to be fan panels taking place across 2 locations as well. There's a cosplay competition you can enter. You want a fan table, you can enter for that as well. All sorts of things. So if you want to be part of the function of the show, the applications are open. Are you looking forward to Celebration?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I managed to get the 4-day pass, but had to do it as individual days rather than the actual 4-day pass. So I'm all armed with that. I think the rest of the Fantas that are going have done the same thing. As far as the fan sort of tables and different application goes, does that still allow you to enter the lotteries? that are going to be happening.
It didn't in Chicago.
It didn't, did it? No.
No, I don't know what the situation was in California because I wasn't there myself, but I don't think it did either. I think
No,
the theory is, you want to enter lotteries, you need a paid for ticket. So
absolutely.
not an
Yeah.
exhibitor, not a show guest, or any of that kind of.
No.
They call it free, but you're obviously doing something in order to get that badge. Media badges, etc. None of that
Yeah.
worked for the lotteries.
No such thing as a free lunch, Bri. No such thing.
No,
But I think, and that's why the Fantas have all bought their own passes so that they can enter lotteries. If we do also end up getting exhibitor passes or the fan zone passes, whatever they decide to call it, that'll be deemed a bonus. But yeah, I mean, I get it from a commercial point of view why they do that. But yeah, I'm looking forward to Celebration. In whatever capacity Fantha tracks are there.
yeah,
But yeah, it's going to be an interesting. I like that new artwork as well for it. It's very reminiscent of the stuff that we had
it
over in
is. Yeah,
Chicago. I
yeah.
think it's the same artist.
I'll
Yeah,
bring it back up so people can see. There we go.
yeah, yeah. Obviously evoking Return of the Jedi with it being the 40th anniversary, so
Yeah.
that's cool. Yeah,
Becca also pointing out it's fun to have a celebration in our part of the world for a change as well. It's not been in London for quite some time. But this will be the third one in London and
yeah,
the fourth one in Europe.
yeah. When was the last one? Because that was the first one I went to. Actually, was it 2016?
That rings a bell, I think. Yeah,
Yeah, I think it was 2016. Might have been 2016, I think. So it's 7 years since it's been in London by the time it comes around. Yeah. I hear from a lot of people that I've spoken to that went to Essen and said that that was their favourite celebration. Did you go to that one, Brian?
I went to Essen. I enjoyed
Yeah,
it. Um,
yeah.
it was different. Didn't have enough of a German flavour for me. I would,
I could see,
I think when celebration goes regional, it needs to reflect a little bit more the country that's in.
I could just see the Fanta Lederhosen now.
I was actually that was the first time I met Mark and Matt. It was
Yes.
Essen.
I remember you saying yes, I
It
do.
all went
Yeah.
downhill from there.
But yeah, I mean, I would love to see one that's on continental Europe. But yeah, I'm happy that it's back in the UK, obviously. But yeah, the American ones are always great. And there was a little bit of a sort of groan in the room in Chicago when it was announced that it was coming back to London because I think obviously it was a partisan audience. You got all our US friends going, "We want it here still." But yeah, no, it'll be great to see what happens next year. Yeah, definitely.
There wasn't much of a break between them um, when it was in Europe the last time, so it wouldn't surprise me if we get a 2024 celebration on perhaps the Florida coastline.
That'd be really good. Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But yeah,
yeah. I
Fantha
think,
tracks will be there in numbers.
of course.
Whether we have a table or booth or whatever, it's all in flux and all in various stages of bubbling
We can always
ideas.
have, we can always have flyers in backpacks.
Yeah, but yeah, we'll be there, contributing
Yeah,
in many ways. I think is the
yeah.
plan.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Next news item. Um, my two favourite people in the Star Wars galaxy, Cyril and Deidre. Um,
Yeah,
quite a couple. Can we call them a couple? Certainly, it's a certainly love-hate relationship at the minimum. I think.
it was a really strange interaction, wasn't it, between them? Him
Yeah,
basically sort of stalking her, I suppose. That's how it
yeah.
came
It's
across.
literally the only way you can describe it.
Yeah. Yeah, it was an interesting scene. Great episode, fantastic episode. And I suppose what that's done, that's like that could potentially be a bit of setup for the final two episodes of the season, which are obviously we've had the prison um, run of episodes, so that's finished. So it was almost like it was leading up to that. But yeah, so, almost uncomfortable to watch. I found it was awkward.
Yeah,
Yeah, Yeah, it's very strange. Are there suggestions that the two of them are actually going to hook up?
I don't know. I think it's probably more likely one of them's going to kill the other. Um, but yeah, Denise Goff playing Deidre made a comment that she wants people to feel conflicted about her, that um, people are rooting for her, but also on the same side realise just quite how evil she is. Becca there saying as well, it's definitely cringy, but you can't help to love it.
Exactly, exactly.
And
That picture that you got on screen as well, because of the way it's cropped at the bottom, she looks like one of those Bop It things.
she does. I was thinking that myself.
The trousers in this are particularly sort of balloon out, don't they? Oh dear.
Kyle Soller as well describing Cyril, saying that he loves it as he sees it, his characters find someone that's just like him. A hunger for power.
Yeah, power at any cost, I suppose. Yeah, yeah, it's a good
Power is
point.
quite dangerous, but so seductive. So
Yeah,
I actually
and
think
addictive.
Kyle Soller's got. He's definitely thinking there's something going to happen between them.
Yeah. Well, let's see. Let's see.
But yeah, I think one of them's going to end up murdered by the other.
Yeah, I can't see them both surviving, but maybe they'll survive it to season two. I
Yeah,
don't know.
it has to be. I was gutted that Cyril wasn't in the last episode. I kind of half expected him to turn up as a prisoner.
Yeah, when they were saying that there's a new prisoner on the floor. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I
I thought it was
really
going to
did
be
think that
somebody.
was going to be Cyril.
Did you? I
Yeah,
thought it was going to be somebody we'd recognise, maybe somebody from Rogue One. But yeah, I was a bit surprised when it was a bit of a no mark. But yeah.
and
Mm.
I've lost my
Okay.
graphics. Let's
Oh,
come
there
back
we
to the
go. We're back.
cameras. It's gone
We're
black.
back.
Uh, don't know what's happened there. Uh, I may have lost the rest of my slides, but we'll try. We'll try with them. We'll try the
We'll
news.
talk about
Let's
something.
try it and see if it works. There we go.
Yay!
It's back working.
Yay!
Next news item, which is quite a big news. The Acolyte
Yeah,
has began full production. Obviously, been in pre-production for a while, and with it, Lucasfilm announced the cast. So joining the previously announced Amandla, I can never say her name, Amandla Stenberg, Lee Young Ye, that we all
close
know
enough.
from Squid Game,
Yeah,
comes Manny Jacinto, Daphne Keane, Jodie Turner Smith, Rebecca Henderson, Charlie Barnett, Dean Charles Chapman, and Carrie Ann Moss, who we all know from The Matrix. I'm going to have to learn some
yeah.
names there as I struggle to spit them out. Um,
You did well.
yeah, and the description for the Acolyte is that it's a mystery thriller that's going to take viewers into a galaxy of shadowy secrets and emerging dark side powers in the final days of the High Republic era. A former Padawan reunites with her Jedi Master to investigate a series of crimes, but the forces they confront are more sinister than they ever anticipated. So, yeah,
I mean,
there's.
I'm looking forward to this because I am not in any way, shape, or form invested in the High Republic.
Yep.
Um, so I might wait until this comes out before I actually sort of get involved with the High Republic. I don't know. Having been on here and chatted with you about this in the past, and different comments that have come through from people, uh, people say, this is the book that you need to read. This is your starting point. Um, I don't know. I'm just looking forward to seeing live action set in a completely different time period.
Yep.
Um, Obviously we're very sort of invested in the Mandoverse, and we know pretty much, well, we definitely know where the events of Cassian are leading up to. And as fun as the Obi-Wan Kenobi series was, that's got a beginning and end point. This potentially, because it's set so far in the past, it could fragment to all sorts of things. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
You've got the potential that Yoda can appear, because Yoda occasionally
Yeah,
appears in the High Republic stuff. And
yeah.
Becca had the comment there in the chat. Darth Plagueis, or Darth Plagueis of Wise, to give him his full title, uh, potentially could pop up in that era, or could one of these characters be on the path that ends up them becoming Darth Plagueis? We may not know at the outset.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like I say, I've not read anything from that era yet. Is Yoda in any way different from how he is now?
He's got more
Let me
hair.
put it this. Is he taller? Because people tend to sort of shrink with age, don't they? Is it?
He's not hitting 6 foot. Put it like that. I haven't had the measuring tape out, but I don't think so. He's pretty much the same character.
Brilliant.
But yeah, I don't know if I even expect any of really of the High Republic characters um, established in literature to appear. It kind of feels like it's going to be its own thing.
Yeah, it feels like it's going to be that era, but its own characters. So we've not been given any information yet regarding the characters.
No,
But it's good to see
basically,
Carrie Ann Moss.
yeah, basically the way the High Republic's working at the moment is working in the same way the trilogies of films came out. So we've had
Yeah.
Phase One, which was the middle section of the story. We're now having Phase Two, which is the prequels,
Yeah.
and then Phase Three is going to be effectively the sequel trilogy. So that'll be the one we can all ignore. Uh,
Well,
uh, but it's possible the characters are going to be introduced in Phase Three who are potentially connected to the TV series. We just don't know it yet.
yeah, yeah. Oh, that's good to know. I mean, that's a bit of info that I needed to know about the fact that it started with the middle bit rather than the beginning. So that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really must get involved with it, I think. When's it likely to come out?
Acolyte 2024.
Yeah, okay. So we might as well say 2025. Everything gets moved.
I'm basing it if they're starting filming now, they're filming around to let's say March, April time, probably wrapping
Yeah.
about then. Then you give them a year's post production.
I'll schedule it on my calendar next to my Peter Kay tickets because they're 2024 as well.
Are they? Did you get Peter Kay tickets?
Yes. My daughter managed to get some whilst I was driving down to Minehead, so she was back at home and she managed to get some. But yeah, they are literally June 2024.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and back again, pointing out there that Kristen's book, it's out now, The High Republic, Art of the High Republic, is a great introduction. Just as a general overview of what the High Republic is and who the characters are, and it kind of lets
Is
you.
that the one? Is that the one that Mark and Matt saw at
It
the
is,
Disney?
yes.
Yeah, yeah.
It literally came out just last week, but from Abrams.
I shall take your advice there, Rebecca. I'll get a hold of a copy of that.
Yeah, we should have
Yeah.
the affiliate link in the show notes. We've missed a trick.
I'm sure it's in there. I'm
Yeah.
sure it's in there.
But yeah,
Yeah.
it's a great starting point because I think perhaps the bit that everyone's maybe found hardest is that the characters are appearing in the comics and the novels, and sometimes it's hard to connect the two
Yeah.
because I think the names are a lot more complicated in this. It's not Han,
Yeah.
Luke, Leia. It's not Finn, Rey, Poe. They haven't made it simple in that regard, and I think that's maybe
Yeah.
my biggest criticism of it. But if you've got like a nice tabletop book like the Art of the High Republic, it's a nice reference point.
Yeah.
It
No,
helps you
no,
it helps you
no,
joins everything together.
yeah, it's a valid point. Definitely, definitely. Especially, it's like you say, you're halfway through a book, you might have put it down for a couple of days, you picked it up again. So and so says, "Well, I can't remember who so and so is. Well, where do they relate to this?" So yeah, no, it's a good point. I think I'll definitely get a hold of that. From what I saw, from what Matt and Mark were showing while they were at the Disney event, it was beautifully illustrated. So if nothing else, it'll be a great addition to the collection. So yeah.
Definitely. Next up, Bring Home the Galaxy. Week number 4 has arrived. We're almost halfway
Yay!
through this. I don't really know what to make of it, to be honest. We get the occasional new announcements that probably don't rock anyone's world too much, I don't think. Fitness collection, Boba Fett.
It's
Scary
about
price
time.
points. Scary
It's
price
about
points on
time.
these. 22
Come on, bro.
22.99. Scary price point.
Yeah. Scary price point, but it's about time we had a Boba Fett figure. It must have been days since we had the last one. Yeah, the prices are really creeping up now, aren't they?
Yeah.
I mean, those are Black Series prices. They're not vintage prices.
No.
But it's a cool figure. There's going to be people out there that are going to want it.
It's a
What do you
Target
do?
exclusive in America, but it's going to be available to everybody in the UK through Hasbro Pulse.
That's it. Yeah, yeah. It
So
is nice.
that was the first big announcement of the week. Second big announcement, Vintage Collection Art Commander Colt.
Yeah,
16.99 for this one, even though he comes with
yeah.
little more bits.
That's pretty standard price for something like that. But yeah, I mean, these are reasonably easy to make. I mean, it's quite often with the clones, it's a head sculpt swap. But I mean, there's a little bit more detail to that one. And you do get a fair few accessories with it, which is quite nice. But yeah, as we struggle with the economy, whether people will be thinking, yeah, I'm going to have that, or whether it's an easy pass, I don't know.
Yeah.
Tricky one.
Again, that's Hasbro Pulse in the UK, exclusive to Walmart in America. And the aforementioned Art of the High Republic from
Yeah,
Abrams, that's the cover for that.
yeah,
And lets you dive into the making of the High Republic, a storytelling initiative that takes Star Wars back to the prime of the Jedi Order.
yeah.
Christine
I'm going to get
Baker.
that. I'm definitely getting that.
Forward by Kathleen Kennedy as well, which kind of shows you how high of importance Lucasfilm have put into the High Republic.
Yeah,
It's the first time I think that a publishing program from Lucasfilm has really had the support of the whole company.
yeah. No, I mean, if KK's attached to it, then obviously it's got some legs, hasn't it? It's gonna evolve into all sorts of things.
Yeah,
Potentially, could be the next cinema stuff. Who knows?
I
Because
think a
that
lot.
keeps changing.
I think a lot of people agree with Phil there about Boba being a reproduced card back, slightly touched up paint job, disappointment
Yeah,
to a lot of people. Uh,
yeah, absolutely.
Always something new in the world of Star Wars. Sunglasses by, I'm going to call it Diff because I've never heard of the company. I'm probably completely making myself look stupid. DIFF, Diff. I don't know, how do you say that? Anyway,
I think you
it's
probably
sunglasses.
that's how I pronounce it. So yeah, let's go with Diff.
Yeah, nice range, but I'm not buying them because they're Star Wars.
Yeah,
Um, Next up, Lego Star Wars: The Skywalker Saga Galactic Edition, which is some title, from TT Games. Hugely popular Lego game with jam full of new characters, everything up to date, including Andor,
yeah.
Obi-Wan, Book of Boba Fett, all in there. So
So is it an update to existing software? Is this something that people
it's
can download,
basically the
or
same game with new levels and new characters.
so people have got to buy it again, basically? Yeah.
Yeah, that's the way that gaming works
Yeah.
now.
Yeah, no, no, no. I
Yeah,
just wondered whether it was going to be like
yeah.
an add-on.
It's basically a DLC, and it is
Yeah,
as the kids call it, downloadable content
yeah.
that enhances your games. If you don't have the original game, you can buy that and be bang up to date.
Right, gotcha. Okay, so you can get it either way. Yeah,
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 and all loads of toys and games. Most of them have been already seen released, getting
yeah.
re-promoted by Lucasfilm, Baby Grogu. I suppose that's
I
supposed to
actually
be
quite
Floating
like
Ray.
that. I quite like that floating ray. That's quite nice. Yeah,
Lola, who's kind of everyone's kind of forgotten about a little bit.
yeah.
It feels like
That's the
Christmas.
problem, isn't it, these days with the churn around of the content,
Yep,
albeit that is excellent content, is that you're on to the next one. Obi-Wan's almost forgotten because we're on to Andor, and it's a shame. We grew up at a time where there was 3 year gaps between our Star Wars content, and it let it breathe. It let collectors be able to amass stuff and really invest their time in it. These days, you feel like you're being hurried out of a restaurant. It's crazy.
yep.
It's yeah.
Get Darth Vader with a candy cane for Christmas. Inquisitor's Lego set there with their ship, and you've also got the dark saber, which I'm if you want a dark saber, you want to buy that before the next season of Mandalorian's out, I think, because they'll be probably flying off the shelves at that point when I
Yeah.
think the dark saber is going to be a central plot point.
Is that the
Uh,
same Dark Saber that's been out for a while, that's repackaged, or is it a different one?
it's just the same one, just being
Yeah,
re-promoted to give you
yeah,
ideas for Christmas.
yeah.
Luggage, if you're planning to come to Star Wars Celebration, you might want a Boba Fett suitcase. I have a BB-8 one due to my love of droids.
Yeah, no, there's nothing you like more than stuffing your clones in droids. That's what it
Yeah,
is.
yeah.
Isn't that the same case that Mr. Booker's got? I recognise the Fett one.
He's got the Fett one, yeah,
Yeah,
and I got the BB-8 one. How did that
yeah,
happen?
nice, nice.
Uh, some lovely artwork.
Yeah, that's nice. I like that. Really like that.
Good day to Adam as well, down under. And you've got all the sorts of odds and sods that they like to promote. The one that makes me laugh there is kind of the upset crying Baby Yoda.
That makes you laugh.
It does. It's just like, why would you want a completely sad, depressed, miserable Baby Yoda?
Yeah, well, you know.
Mr. Booker confirmed he does in fact have that luggage set.
Hi, Adam. Nice to see you, mate. Yeah,
Anything
brilliant.
out of all of that takes your fancy and might be on your shopping list for
Oh,
Christmas?
let's
Oh,
see.
I've taken it off the screen. I'll put it back up. There
Yeah,
we
go
go.
on, put it back up. What's that? What's that Falcon thing there? The cockpit.
Yeah, it looks like a pencil case.
Oh, well, there you go. Put me down for a Falcon pencil case. Fantastic.
There you go.
Oh dear.
Yeah, it,
That looks like
it's
the sort of tat I've seen in Mark Newbold's top room.
it kind of feels to me like it's become something of just a Christmas catalogue, and
Yeah,
there's nothing really special coming, which is a shame because Andor's on TV and they could be having like an Andor review every week.
yeah, yeah.
The only interesting things this week, arguably, is the Hasbro stuff, which doesn't come out till spring, which is
Which ones were they?
the two action figures.
Yes, yeah, yeah,
So yeah, odd. I'm not sure I'm totally into this program, but we're on week 4 of, and they've promised in 9 weeks.
yeah.
So there we go. Apparently, it's a Falcon Playhouse, not a pencil case.
No,
Okay.
no. It is a pencil case, but it's for a lot of pencils. An indoor Wendy house.
like an indoor Wendy
Oh,
house. I have to
I'd
bring this
love
back up
that.
on the screen. So that's like
I
a
want
bed
that now.
basically inside it, I guess.
I think you could sit at the controls of
So
a
it's
Falcon.
bigger than it is for really big pencils. It's not a pencil case. Right?
I'm
That's
going to put
just
that in the office. That'd be great.
that's weird. That's just weird. Yeah, like you don't want that, do you?
Yeah. Okay.
Right, let's carry on with the news because this is becoming a disaster. Um, Indiana Jones could be back on the small screen. Um, we don't have Indiana Jones back on the big screen yet. We don't even have a trailer, which is incredible to me.
No.
But the rumor is that Lucasfilm is discussing, at least internally, the possibility of having Indiana Jones back on the TV screen. Um, Sources are saying that Disney's also exploring a number of other options to keep the franchise going, which could mean a series, new films, other media, or a combination thereof. Reps for Lucasfilm declined to comment. Really, that was an all-encompassing scoop there. I think was it Variety or someone that put that one out. They're discussing the idea of having a TV series. They could be doing a film, could be doing anything.
Yeah. If it does come back as a TV series, I hope that they recast and we go back to the proper era for Indiana Jones, set in the 40s, Nazis everywhere, because the early films were the fun ones,
Yeah,
and I don't want them to suddenly keep setting it sort of like in his later years. Maybe they could even do something like they did with the Young Indiana Jones Chronicles, where Harrison Ford crops up talking about himself in the past, like they did with the Chronicles, where they had a very creepy looking guy with an eye patch playing the older Indiana Jones.
George Hall, I think it
Um,
was.
yeah, it was very strange. But yeah, maybe we could get Harrison doing a few sort of snippets and then thinking back to earlier adventures, and
Yeah.
we've got a younger version.
Um,
Or
the
they need to
other
face them.
the other rumor is it's the actress that plays Fleabag, whose name has escaped me. That's going
Yeah,
to be getting her own
Phoebe
spin-off TV series.
Phoebe Waller-Bridge. Yeah,
Yeah, and that rumor's kind of been circulating for quite some time. She's supposed to be the goddaughter of Indy in this
yeah.
new film.
Absolutely nothing against Phoebe Waller-Bridge. I think she's very talented. Fleabag's, what I've seen of it's very funny. I actually quite liked her in Solo. Um, but don't try to sort of alter a character to become to go from being male to female. Like in Doctor Who, it didn't go down very well. It didn't work very well. It's actually quite insulting, I think, to the actor. Give them their own sort of character to go with. We don't want Indiana Jones coming back as Diana Jones.
Yeah, it's if you're going to do a spin-off with a particular character, it's that character show. It's no longer Indiana Jones franchise show,
Yeah,
is it really?
what's the point?
Um, it's the same with James Bond. If you want to do a Q spin-off, do a Q spin-off, but
Yeah,
it's not James Bond.
no, exactly. And
As
people
Matt
would be
says, you
into
could do the not so young but slightly older than young Indiana Jones Chronicles.
them.
Yeah,
What was the
I don't know what you do if it's not Indiana Jones. Then basically it's someone chasing down relics and like
Yeah,
Tomb Raider.
Indiana Jones, the wine bar years. There you go. That's
I
all.
don't know if it works if it's not the Indiana Jones character. To me, it's like Tomb Raider or the Mummy or any
Yeah,
other kind of thing along that kind of lines. It's
yeah, yeah,
fine; they're their own thing, but it's easy to check out of. I think.
yeah,
And to
definitely.
me, Harrison Ford is so Indiana Jones now. Unless you're going to do a younger version of that character, um, with a clear purpose. Don't know. I don't know what direction you take it, but I can understand they don't want to drop that franchise altogether,
Yeah,
because it makes some money.
yeah,
I've heard good things about Indy 5. It still doesn't have a proper title either. I think it looks like they're just going to call it Indiana Jones um, and not give it an additional title, which is weird. But I've also heard really bad reports as well. There was a rumor out that it had some test screenings and the test screenings were terrible. I
right.
doubt that report because I don't think
Yeah,
Lucasfilm's the kind of company to be doing test screenings.
no. And also at this stage, they probably haven't got enough content correctly edited for a test screening anyway.
Yeah,
We're that far out from it. Um, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I have heard rumors of a subtitle for it, which was quite unusual. But yeah, let's. I'm. I can't even say I'm cautiously optimistic. At the end of the day, I can remember sitting in the office at work when I was still working in newspapers, and then we were getting all this fantastic feedback from for reviews for The Last Jedi, and yeah, okay. Anyway, we'll leave it at
uh,
that.
talking of the Last Jedi, uh,
Oh,
Ryan Johnson's trilogy has not moved forward any. It would appear, but possibly Sean Levy is possibly getting a Star Wars film. Deadline's got reports that he's in discussions. Um, they're trying to get together a loose plot, get a writer on board, um, and Levy, who's been directing Deadpool 3, um, is going to be the guy that they're going to turn to.
okay. So is that talking about a trilogy of films or a one-off
It
film?
looks to be a one off.
Yeah. Okay. And is this the one that I'd heard rumors of that's going to be set in the sequel trilogy timeline?
Um, well, there's all sorts of rumours going around, but
There is,
there
isn't
seems to
there?
be
It
more
changes.
people, more projects being cancelled than moving forward.
Yeah.
Taika Waititi's project doesn't seem to be moving forward. Rogue Squadron's kind of been shelved because the story was terrible. Um, and we're going to come to another one that's been shelved just in a minute in the news as well. So there's more getting
Yeah.
canned or pushed to the side than moving forward. And there's lots of people in touch, it seems to be, with regards being involved in a project.
Mm.
But the projects don't seem to be getting greenlit. So it could just be, here's the kind of guy that we want to work with. Let's have some talks. Let's see if we can develop a project, but we're way out from having anything concrete. Is kind of where I think
Yeah.
this story sits.
But whether the thought process with this guy is that with his involvement with Deadpool 3, whether they're going to go down that sort of tongue-in-cheek comedy kind of adult humor sort of route, I don't know. But
He
we'll see.
seems to be Disney's turn to guy at the moment.
Yeah,
If he does this one, this will be his third film in
yeah,
pretty much quick succession under the Disney umbrella.
yeah, yeah. Oh well, we'll see. I mean, I think probably the same as what you just said there. We've had all these different directors that have been sort of lined up to do different versions of Star Wars, different timelines. being a one-off or a trilogy, and they all seem to come to nothing. So like, I'll believe it when I see the trailer. Oh dear.
Mhm. To me, I'm not interested in the individuals at this point in time. I'm interested in what they want to do creatively, and
Mm,
then you bring the individuals in that suit that project. I'm not into
exactly.
this.
No.
I'm not into this.
Yes.
Um,
Yeah.
Bring a director
Here's the,
in
yeah.
at the point of creating a project. I think I've had that with Ryan Johnson and J.J. Abrams, where they've had too many fingers and too many pies.
Yeah.
Um, on the creative side, you need to bring a director in to bring a particular project to life, not to develop that
Spot on.
project. But that's just my kind of.
No, 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 no. You're spot on there. This is the problem where you've got writer directors. Then it tends to come to nothing. You
It
need
comes to,
something.
yeah. It's the age
Yeah.
old
You
problem
need.
at Lucasfilm is they don't have any one person directing creative.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
there we go. We're not going to fill that
Yeah.
role tonight. Uh, Dark Horse Comics: The High Republic Adventures is returning, um,
Yeah.
and we've got 3 new comics coming from them. First up, High Republic Adventures, written by Daniel Jose Older, art by Tony Bruno. Is coming the end of November. Next up,
Are
we
these going
have
to be deemed? Are these going to be deemed canon?
yes, yep.
Yeah. Okay.
We've got the High Republic: The Nameless Terror from George Mann, art by Eduardo Melo and Ornella Savares. That's a 4-issue miniseries. Starts on the 28th of December. And last but not least, from Dark Horse, we have the much delayed Quest of the Jedi, coming from Claudia Gray, no artist announced on this one as yet. And it's going to be a one shot.
Yeah.
And that was the comic that was originally announced way back at the end of last year, I think it was, when Dark Horse were announced as coming back to Star Wars comics. So that has been a greatly delayed
Yeah.
comic. These are all going to be Dark Horse's contributions to the High Republic. They're all going to be aimed at the slightly younger market, so young adult to kids market.
They're really ramping up this era, aren't they?
Yeah.
Really going for it. It's only a matter of time before we start getting some Black Series and vintage figures coming out of these. So that'll be interesting.
As Phil pointed out, it is Jedi Zuvio on
Is
the
it?
well, it certainly looks like, if I bring it back up, it does look like
Yeah.
Jedi Zuvio, doesn't it?
I did lean in for that one. Yeah, that's worrying.
Yeah. Echo's point, George Mann's brilliant. Love his work. Yeah, he's done some great stuff for Star Wars.
Yeah.
Very good friend with Cavan Scott, who's obviously been on the High Republic from the off as well. They do some fantastic non-Star Wars content together as well. George
Yeah.
Mann did the fantastic. Oh, I forget the name of it now. It was like the Dark Stories came out. I'm gonna have to Google it. You entertain the crowd whilst I Google this. Right. So
Ding 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 ding
let's
ding.
the keyboard's working. I can't carry on without getting the names right.
You go for it. You go for it. But yeah, I mean, I do definitely need to invest in Dark Legends. Rebecca Benjamin saying, is
Yeah,
that the one?
yeah, that's the one. She
I
beat me
tell
to
you
it.
what, she's got a finger on the pulse for that era. Well done, Beck.
Definitely, she's beating me. Definitely beating me. Myths and Fables was the second one. Yeah, there we go. And Becca's could beat me to that as well. There. Yeah, fantastic, and really hard to get all of them in the UK because they had, I think it was Walmart and Target exclusives that added one extra tale in each one, which was frustrating for UK readers. But yeah, George Mann, top guy, and
Yeah,
so I think that's his first time he's involved in Star Wars comics. He's done kids stuff for the High Republic previously as well. So
yeah. It kind of feels to me with all this content that's kicking off with the High Republic, and it'll change once we've got the TV series, but it's very much like that Shadows of the Empire kind of vibe at the moment, where you got all this multimedia content coming up, but there's actually nothing physical to support it at the moment. Um,
they threw
so
they threw a lot of money at it to launch it. It kind of felt like,
yeah,
and I say that it's probably not particularly true. They threw money at it, which had never been done in Star Wars literature before, I don't think, outside of Shadows of the Empire. Um, and I think it's also surprised them, though, quite how well it's taken off and quite how engaged
Yeah,
it is. And I think the fans are very much engaged in a part of it, but they're also, the fans are very much engaged with the original creative team as well,
yeah,
um,
yeah,
and very much engaged with them. They're all got quite a good social media presence, so it's kind of been the right team at the right time for a new age of Star Wars fans, I think.
yeah. Well, Beck has commented as well in our chat, right, that it's very cohesive. So that's
Yeah,
encouraging.
yeah.
That
The
it.
only thing you can compare it to, I guess, is the New Jedi Order, which, if you remember those books, and they were the
Mm,
exact sort. They weren't cohesive at all, and that was the one
yeah,
where Chewbacca died when he tried to catch his son,
yeah,
and that was
yeah,
kind of the kickoff of it. Some great story elements in there, and some great characters in that.
yeah.
Um, but the High
I mean
Republic's really
that's
really outdone that. There's been a lot of thought gone into the overall arc from the beginning, and who the characters are, and connecting them up
yeah,
well. That it doesn't really matter what angle you come from. There's whether you pick up books or comics, you can get a flavour of the whole story, and you can probably find a character you can relate to as well.
yeah. That death of Chewbacca, that was the one thing that's now deemed legend that a lot of people sort of didn't complain about, but pointed out when when the new films were brought out with Force Awakens, how Chewie's back, and that was what sort of
To me,
relegated a load of
if
stuff.
you're going to kill a character off to have an impact, like they wanted to have at the start of the New Jedi Order, Chewbacca is
Yeah,
the most obvious one because he's the hardest one to write for.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
You
yeah.
know, how do you
I've
write
always
Chewbacca?
I've always liked his dialogue,
Yeah,
always.
he just says the same old thing. It's like droids; they should all be killed off. If they killed off C-3PO and R2-D2, I'm still disgusted that they didn't do that at the end of the sequel trilogy
Yeah,
with a
3PO should have
sledgehammer.
been.
With a
Yeah.
sledgehammer.
3PO should have pushed Vice Admiral Holdo out the way and gone plowing into the Star Destroyer. Absolutely.
The people got upset that Luke threw the lightsaber off the edge of the cliff, but if it'd been C-3PO, people would have been loving it.
What, they've thrown 3PO off the edge of the cliff?
Phil Parker he got kind of a bit confused with that. Young reader stories, comics, etc., seemed to distract from the main storyline. I think a lot of people felt that way. It became a little bit too much, and I
Yeah,
kind of think they've still got that problem a little bit. That they're maybe overdoing the content.
yeah,
There's
yeah,
not like a simple singular route through it. I don't think there probably is, but it's not obvious. I
yeah,
think is the way to describe it. You always feel like you're missing out on something if you don't buy the young readers spin-off kind of book that focuses on one particular little thing.
yeah.
Because
But
they've
that's
tried to
been
interconnect it so much, you don't want to miss any element of it.
no. But then, I mean, that's a criticism I've had of the sequel trilogy is that for some of the major plot points that didn't get resolved in the film, you had to buy the books. Well, for your casual viewer, they're not going to go in to do that.
If you hate the sequel trilogy, pick up Adam Christopher's book because it really does improve it.
I've heard that.
Yeah,
The
it
the
really
Luke, the Luke
does.
and the Luke and Lando adventure.
Yeah,
Yeah,
really,
absolutely. Yeah,
yeah, really does
yeah,
improve it. But then that shows you what can be done if you put
yeah,
together a proper writing team and you plot out an entire trilogy.
yeah,
Because the benefit Adam had was sitting back and having seen the whole thing and seeing like what aren't we addressing,
yeah, yeah,
and that would have been solved by a writing team working on the complete trilogy instead of having competing directors really undermining each other. But there we go. That's
yeah,
another story.
yeah.
Um, Star Wars Fun Day, one of my favourite events of the year,
Yeah.
despite the fact they have a droid in their logo, uh, is back next year, and it's going to be Sunday the 14th of May 2023 at Blackburn Rovers Football Club, where it was this past year, and it was fantastic. It was a change of location, but it was a well worked change from Neil and Paul that run the show.
It was really good, wasn't it? Yeah, we were there with Mark and quite a few of the Fanthas were there, weren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a really good event.
Are
Yeah,
you on your calendar for next year?
yeah, definitely. Yeah. The week after that, I get married, so it's a good job it wasn't that weekend.
There we go. We'll remember the date then. We won't get it wrong.
That could be the stag do, Brian. There you
It
go.
could do. Yeah. Oh, that could be dangerous. Phil Parker is going to be trooping out again. If you're in the UK, it is one of the best events to do. It has a
It is,
fantastic,
it is.
laid back family kind of vibe to it. And if you want to pay 15-20 quid for an autograph from one of the guys, they always have a great range of signatures there.
Yeah,
The fantastic thing about the show is you'll get as much time as you want just to stand and chat and ask questions and interact with the guests. It's not one of these where you're going to be rushed through a queue.
yeah.
Fantastic chance just to interact with some amazing characters that have been in Star Wars films and productions throughout the years.
Yeah, it's really family friendly as well. It's always a good one for the little ones, and also the dinner with the stars the night before is always a great event. So if you do want to sit down and have a proper natter with one of the celebs from Star Wars, that's a great opportunity as well.
Yeah, and we had dinner with Iggle Piggle, and
We did.
what Teletubby was he? Tinky Winky.
He was thinking, I, I shared more than a glass of wine with, it was Nick, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah, and oh my goodness, I mean, he's only a little fella anyway, so I had a pint, he had a pint, and he was telling me all sorts of things he shouldn't have been telling me. He said, "You won't tell anybody, will you?" No, of course I won't.
I had an email or a text message came through from a client of mine who ran a nursery, and I just texted her back and said, "I'm sitting here drinking wine with Iggle Piggle."
I'm getting iggle piggled with
Yeah,
iggle piggle.
yeah. Teletubbies are coming back. I don't know if Nick's involved, but the Teletubbies are
No,
coming back.
no, we'll have to find out. We'll have to find
Yeah,
out.
that'll be the question. But yeah, great night. Do the dinner the night before. There's no much more fun than sitting down with one of the stars and
If you can get tipsy
having
with
supper
this,
with them, breaking bread.
yeah,
And it's the best way to get to know these guys. And Paul, who does the autographs, phenomenal guest list every year.
absolutely. No, it's always an amazing event, and it raises good funds for charity as well. So it's a noble event, really is.
Mr. Bieber just confirming that he is in it. It's returning to Netflix. There we go.
Wow, fantastic!
Love that. Um, Lucasfilm, and I'm going to say this wrong because I just don't know Star Wars animation. I do apologize to all the fans of animation. Lucasfilm and Studio Ghibli.
I would pronounce it Ghibli, but no doubt somebody's going to say it's Ghibli.
Ghibli.
We'll call it Giblets. Lucasfilm
Apparently,
Studio
the
Giblets.
premier production company for animation in the anime format out there.
Yeah,
And it is quite a coup for Lucasfilm to be working with them, and quite a significant thing, and it has caused shockwaves and happiness throughout social media, and showing me how ignorant of I am of anything animated. But they were teasing they were working with Lucasfilm on something, and eventually released was like a 3 minute hand-drawn animated original short from Studio Ghibli called Zen, Grogu and Dust Bunnies,
of course.
which we can't show you clips from it because that would be terribly wrong if we did that. But we can show you the teaser that they had earlier in the week that got everybody excited. And it was this basically very simple Lucasfilm logo into Studio
Yeah,
Ghibli logo. And people loved it. And I was
that was it.
confused.
That was it. Right.
There we
Okay.
go. It's Ghibli. Mr. Booker, a massive fan. Silent H. Yeah, but apparently this is massive, and I don't know if this is going to be a precursor to something else. It kind of feels like it is. something that
Well, I
people
mean,
may not know, but Kathleen Kennedy and Dave Filoni were in that part of the world this past week.
right,
And I do wonder if they were meeting with various studios, such as Studio Ghibli, saying it correctly
quite
now.
possible.
Um,
Is this because we obviously Visions went down very well, and I believe there's a second season of Visions coming up. Is this in any way linked to that, or is this totally
there is
different?
definitely a season 2 of Visions, but I remember very clearly on the stage at Star Wars Celebration watching the
Yeah,
live stream. One of the producers on Star Wars Visions said that if people like Star Wars anime, that beyond season 2, Star Wars anime was going to be huge.
right.
So that kind of
Hinting at
hinted
the
that other people were
yeah,
going to be uh,
yeah,
involved. I wonder if this came out just because it was marking Miss Kennedy's and Mr. Filoni's visit to that part of the world, and whether they were approving and finalising various deals perhaps when they were out there. And I wonder if this was look what we do. Um,
yeah, yeah. I like Phil's comment.
Ashley's a huge fan of the clothing line under her universe.
Yeah,
And Phil Parker, just wait. Pikachu, Grogu coming soon. You get catch them. Get catch them all. But yeah, this is literally and figuratively completely foreign world to me. So
yeah,
I recognise the importance of it based on the reaction you could see on social media, how happy people were, and
yeah,
how amazed as well. So um, yeah, exciting times
yeah.
for people that are fans of anime. I think in the Star Wars world, I think there's a lot to come, and this is maybe just a precursor of something much bigger.
Again, though, is this going to be deemed canon, or is this just little fun snippets? I don't know.
Don't know,
Because
but that
Visions,
was that was certainly a
Visions,
3 minutes, and it kind of felt like this is just them. Let's throw
yeah,
something out there to get people talking. But I think there's something
yeah,
major coming. Wouldn't surprise me if you got a full Star Wars movie.
really.
Why not?
Mm, yeah, well, give it a
Can't
go.
can't do
Why
live action anymore apparently, so might as well do animated.
not? Yeah, fair comment.
Yeah. Talking about not being able to do live action Star Wars movies anymore, I always like to end the show on a low. That's why I've picked this story for last. um,
Oh dear. Yeah,
JD Dillard has confirmed that he's no longer working on a Star Wars project, um,
yeah,
and kind of left the suggestion that his idea was going to be around TIE fighters. He was a huge fan of the TIE fighter computer game when he was a kid. His father was an aviator, and so on, which would have been a nice counter to perhaps Rogue Squadron.
yeah, yeah,
But yeah, couldn't get to work throughout lack of trying. But he also hinted that he's going to carry on and do his own sci-fi movie, and it'll be an original idea, and it'll probably be loosely the life of a fighter pilot, I imagine,
yeah,
or
yeah.
very possibly. So that's another Star Wars film canned. And I don't
Never
know
happened.
if the problem is that the rumours of what they're working on gets out so early that they get absolutely nowhere in development with these things, or where Lucasfilm really does have a problem in retaining talent. I don't know what way to go. Um,
Don't know. Don't know.
when they sacked the Lego
It's a
guys
shame.
mid production, that was a bad day. But they
Yeah.
seem to bring people on, get a heck of a way through development, and let them go. And I've got no idea whether that's relatively standard in film production. It doesn't feel like it. Certainly doesn't feel like it happens so publicly as it does with Lucasfilm.
No. Like you were saying before, we need a decent story and then get the director on board.
Yeah,
And then we won't have this problem.
yeah.
So,
They seem to be having
oh well.
this strange way of wanting the director to direct creative,
Yeah.
and it doesn't feel right. It just doesn't feel right to me. I don't understand
It's
that.
clearly not working. It's not working at all. So, yeah, they need to shelve that idea.
Um, so it doesn't look like we're going to get. Well, we're definitely not getting a Star Wars film next year. It doesn't look like we're going to get one in 2024. either. So you're probably looking at 2025 really now, I would suggest. Which,
May as well hang on until 2027, eh? They go for the
yeah.
50th anniversary.
And, oh my
Yeah.
goodness, excuse me if I say yawn on a live stream, that's terrible. Just the sheer mention of 2027, it's like, oh, I'm tired. I've had a heck of a weekend, I'll just point that out.
He has. He
Uh,
has.
and I do apologise. Um, it's a very strange one. It sounded like Boris Johnson there. I'm very, very sorry. I apologise.
No, you don't sound like Boris
I'm
because
now
you
going
have
to tell you a
apologised.
story about Peppa Pig. But what
Oh,
does
dear.
Lucasfilm need to do to get movies working? Why are they succeeding on TV and failing so badly in film?
Because they need to be getting the story right first, and then getting the director and production team around it. The first thing they need to do, which you hinted at before, that they didn't do with the sequel trilogy, is have a proper path for it, so that so there's a beginning, a middle, and an end that they've got to work with. Um, it just beggars belief. The Marvel universe, that works so well. Why can't Star Wars have the same sort of template to it? It
Well,
would
you look
just
at the
work.
way that Marvel are doing it. They've got their roadmap so far out,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
they basically say like, "Well, this is a film that we're going to be making," and
yeah.
they can add and remove writers and directors without anyone knowing because all everyone's noticed is I'm getting a Thunderbolts movie coming soon,
That's it.
um,
Yeah,
and
you'll get the.
you don't need to know who the
There's
writer
this
and the
look.
director is until much further down the line.
Yeah,
It's like you could announce a
uh,
Rogue Squadron movie and then not announce a director or creator, and
exactly.
save Patty
'Cause
Jenkins the public embarrassment of her script basically being
yeah,
rejected after
yeah.
doing a little fancy little trailer for it.
As a fan, all you're interested in is this is your title. This is when it's going to be set. I don't care who's directing it at this
Yeah,
stage. I
the
just
whole
want
the
that.
whole Boba Fett movie with Josh Trank summed it up for me, and that
Yeah,
you've basically sacked him the night before you announce it.
yeah,
Why would you not be carrying on to make a Boba Fett movie? You would just get a new director.
yeah,
But the problem
yeah,
is you're letting the director run the show. It
yeah.
doesn't make sense to me.
No,
But yeah,
no.
but then I'm not making $1 billion movies, so what do I know?
Well, what do they know? That's the problem.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
it's a shame because it just needs some proper planning, some proper thought, and just not leak out, just divulge the information that you need to hear. We don't need. I don't
yeah.
care who's directing it. Not at
You
this
need a
stage.
director of creative at Lucasfilm.
Yeah,
Marvel's got one. DC's just got themselves one. Uh, it's so vitally important. I don't know why we don't have that. And everyone kind of talked about the story group, but then the story group have kind of distanced themselves and they've become effectively fact checkers and
yeah.
enhancements to certain elements. It's like I need a planet. Give me a planet, and it's like that
Become an
kind of
admin
feels.
role. It's
Yeah,
an admin role. That's all it is. Yeah, it's ridiculous.
where that should have been the creative brain. There should have been someone
Yeah,
in there leading that, bringing in writers to join them, thrashing out. This is the journey we're going to go on.
yeah. They'll get it right one day, no
Yeah.
doubt.
So on that
Oh.
low, we end the show.
We
I
can't.
might pick a better
No, yeah, I
order for the
know.
storylines next year, so we end on a high. But it ended with the Acolyte news. Some nice casting news or something instead of
Yeah, spin it your way.
someone getting the sack. And then Phil's in there as well. So many stories from old comics set that could be adapted. Um,
Exactly.
when I saw JD Dillard mention the Tie Fighters, um, I immediately thought Rogue Squadron issue 25 with Baron Fell, the Tie Fighter pilot, and the kind of flipped the comic to focus on him, and
Yeah,
they kind of went on a 5 issue kind of run with him, and
yeah,
that was fantastic. You think of things like Crimson Empire immediately,
yeah.
um, comes to mind as well, and it's just like there's so much potential, and there's been so much done there before, and if you could just get the right creative person in there.
Ah, you see, you're just making me feel full of regret now.
Yeah. So
This is all good stuff that we
we've
need,
made
but
you
it's
all
not going.
miserable at the end of the show. It's time for you to go to bed so you can get up and go back to work. It's Monday tomorrow, I'm afraid, people. And Paul, thank you for joining me. It's
Cheers,
always a
bye.
pleasure to have you on the show.
And
Um,
you, sir.
we'll have more Star Wars news next week, and we'll order it in an uplifting way so the show gets better as it goes on. So by the end of the show, you're left on a high and full of the joys. And
Oh,
yeah,
brilliant.
see y'all. Well, in
Bye.
fact, on Friday I'll be back for the Andor review rather than Thursday this week, and we'll be back Sunday next week with the new show as well. So we'll see you then. Good night.
Good night.
Keep up to date with the latest Star Wars news each and every day on FanthaTracks.com. You can also find us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Tumblr, and Pinterest at Fantha Tracks. And be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and follow Fantha Tracks TV to be alerted to new content and to be a part of our live shows.